I knew there was a reason I hadn't planted any seeds yet. It's the second week in April, and hopefully we're almost done with the snow this year. Yeah, we're still seeing single-digit temperatures at night, so it's not quite time to get anything outside yet. I can't use my greenhouse here because we opened the roof last summer when we had some friends and family up that helped me put this lean-to up, and one of the compromises we made was sliding the greenhouse plastic down a little bit so we could mount the posts inside, and I just planned on fixing it later, but I never got around to it, so here we are. I'm wishing I could use the greenhouse, and I can't because I didn't get my chores done. There's this opening in the roof that goes the whole length, and so I haven't been able to use this greenhouse. The last fall it was getting cold in here too. It didn't really hold any heat at night, so I haven't really got to test out the climate battery part of it yet. It's just not airtight, and so it gets really cold in here at night with whatever the air temperature is outside, basically. So the game plan for rebuilding this, I'm going to tear off all the, basically all of the roof. I'm going to leave the floor, and we're going to leave the posts. We had a huge snowfall this year, and there was 3 or 4 major roof collapses, commercial buildings that came down in the area. So it was a pretty unprecedented snowfall this year, which doesn't make me feel as bad because I'm not the only one that had stuff fall down. Here's the second greenhouse, and this is still open as well. I'll get a board covering up this opening in the back so we don't have the cold air flowing through here. And according to the forecast, we should be all clear here as far as no more snow. It got up to 40 yesterday and melted off all the new stuff, so I'm taking that as the all clear. I'm going to get this roof torn off today. I'm going to get the greenhouse all sealed up, and then I can get my seeds started in there. We're going to do 8 trays of onions to start with. But then I can't rebuild this until the snow melts and I find my materials again. Forensic analysis here of what happened is the beam that was on this side, this one stayed up, but the one that was over here pulled off of the screws that was holding it to the post. So how I'm gonna fix it is I'm gonna leave these posts here. They're nice and solid still. They're planted in the ground. I'm gonna notch these posts so that these header beams have a face to sit on, and they're not just attached with nails or screws to the front. They've actually got a load-bearing point on each end. And then I'm gonna run all the rafters the same direction. I'm not gonna use these purlins like they had done the first time. 2x4 is a little undersized anyways, but I'm gonna use round logs just because that's what I got, and I'm gonna run them this way, all the same. Gotta let all this snow thaw out so I can get to my logs and my steel and all that. So I'm gonna get going on this, and we'll see where we end up. So I'm just filling all my seed trays here. I'm doing my cubes, my blocks, my soil blocks they're called. I will, then I'll label each tray. I like to put the label on the tray. I just put a piece of tape on the end and then write what it is and the date it was planted. I used to mark them on the covers, but I take the covers off to water every day, and so then if it ever gets switched around, you kind of lose what with what. Yeah, I got this big tub. I was doing it in a bucket before, but it's really nice to have a big area that you can work this thing around in, because you got to really pack it full to get nice tight cubes. So I'm getting a lot better at that. It's kind of a bummer not having water out here yet. I have to haul all the water over in buckets or jugs. So yeah, I'm just gonna get the rest of these soil blocks made, and I will get my onions all planted. That's what it's gonna be. I'm gonna have 8 trays of onions and shallots. We'll see how much seed I have, but I think I have enough for this. And you can probably also hear that I got the battery fan on. I just turned that on for the first time today. So I'll hopefully start warming up these rocks here. Got cold air coming out the other side, so I know there's no water in here, which is another good thing. I was kind of concerned about that with all the snow melt. Like, this is just kind of a big pool waiting to be filled up. But I've got a corner here where I left the rocks down. I didn't pile up the rocks all the way to the wall, so I can kind of see down 6-8 inches, and there's no sign of water at all. So these are a Walla Walla sweet yellow onion. I've got them loaded up in my little dispenser here. I'm just gonna go down the line and fill up the trays. I'll put the seeds in a full tray. I'll cover all the seeds in that tray, label the front of it, and then do the next one. And then I know anyone that's been labeled is planted. Alright, so we got 6 trays of onions and 2 trays of shallots planted. I've heard people say only put 1 seed per hole, but last year I did a kind of a side-by-side, and I did some blocks with just 1 seed, and others I do up to like 4 or 5, and I ended up getting 4 or 5 nice-sized onions from a single hole, same size as the single one, so I really didn't see much difference. The idea is that kind of, if you have more than one, they'll kind of take the nutrients from each other and they'll all do poorly, but I did not see that happen last year, so I put at least 2 seeds per block in here, up to like 4 or 5, so there's probably at least 1,000 onions here. They do make a smaller soil blocker. I think mine is about a 2x2, 2 inches. They make one that's like 3/4 inches, and that's much more appropriate for this kind of stuff, where an onion is just going to be basically a little blade of grass when it sprouts, and then we're going to move it outside. So I don't need a 2-inch by 2-inch block for those. It took about a half hour to get all these seeded, and then probably another half hour to get all the blocks made. So yeah, there's a decent amount of labor here, and there's certainly ways to speed this up. And it's also, the temperature's staying pretty nice in here. It's I guess we're up to 92 in here now, which is, yeah, it's pretty warm, but it's probably close to 50 outside, I bet. We don't really get the April showers here. It's more like a drought until late summer, and then the rainy season starts. August, in September, we usually get a lot of rain, and then it turns to snow. I have to get the irrigation all ran out here as soon as we're all out of frost danger. That's kind of the other problem. I don't have the infrastructure set up for like electricity and water. I'm just running extension cords and hoses right now, and so I can't leave any of the hoses out when it's freezing at night. It'd be a lot nicer to just get all that in, and then you can build your greenhouses and grow beds and stuff and not have to worry about tearing it all up when you go to trench in water lines or power. But this is all just a learning experience. The next farm we build, it's gonna come together a lot quicker, and it'll work a lot more efficiently right from the get-go, rather than doing all this trial and error stuff. But it's really the best way to learn, in my opinion. Somebody can tell you all this stuff, or you can read it in a book, but it really doesn't stick until you've spent the time dealing with the problems and figuring out the solutions, and there's stuff you'll never forget after that. So my onions are ready to go. I don't want to leave them in here too long. I think this is just about the right time to transplant them. They're pretty much all sprouted up now. The shallots are about 50-50, but that was some pretty old seed. I just kind of wanted to see what happened with those, but the Walla Wallas all did really well. Kind of the edges of the trays, it still gets pretty cold in here at night, and so the edges of the trays are the slowest to germinate because they're the coldest at night. I've got the thermostat thermocouple in the middle of the tray, so that keeps it about 70 degrees with the heat pads underneath, but the edges get kind of cool at night. So those are always a little slower to germinate. It's good to rotate them too. I haven't done that yet. This is about the right size. I want to get them transplanted out in the greenhouse, and but I gotta get the water all set up and fertilize before I can do that. I've also got these pots that I put together last fall, kind of as an experiment too. This is a currant bush. Both of these are currant bushes. This is a raspberry, and then 3 strawberry plants. You can see we got green leaves starting here. They just looked like dead sticks all winter. These were really, all the soil dried out. It was nothing in it. It was just dust when you touch the soil, and I wasn't sure what's gonna happen, but it's still alive. And then we got green sprouting up here at the base of the raspberries. I should cut off all this dead matter from last year. This is an experiment, just taking cuttings from wild currant plants and raspberries, and I think these are even wild strawberries that I had found last summer. So I'm pretty excited to see how that works. We're gonna try to propagate them out, and yeah, hopefully start growing some strawberries. That would be pretty cool. I don't know where I'm gonna put them yet. They are kind of invasive, so they'll spread, so I kind of want to contain it. I might make a separate little raised bed just for strawberries, and probably start planting some raspberry and currant patches as well. Hey, so it's the last day of April, the 30th, and I'm declaring victory on this hose fiasco. I wasn't paying attention last fall, and my hose got buried in all the ice. So the hose comes from the cabin over there. I leave this hose in place in the winter because it goes through this pipe here underneath the driveway, so we don't have to drive cars over it. Go over to the garden, and then I run it all the way back to the greenhouse over there where I filter it and then run it through the manifold. So I had to shovel off all the snow and then just start chipping the ice and locate the hose and then decide which way it was going. And I finally found the end of it right here, and I got it hooked up. We got water coming out the other end, so that's all good. And this is one of those things where literally 1 minute last fall I could have been planting in the greenhouses 2 weeks ago, but because I couldn't get water over there, I can't plant in the greenhouses. So I got my compost tea, my worm brew from my local worm farmer, and I'm going to try to spray about 16 ounces of it down in here. I'm super excited to have water in here finally. It's been really dry. This just walking back and forth in here kicks up a lot of dust and to where it's hard to breathe. So because I got this blocked off to keep it warm at night, that end is still open, but I'm gonna hose this down and that'll really knock down the dust and make it more comfortable to be in here. And then we'll let it soak for a day, and I'll transplant the onions in here tomorrow, and then I'll get more seeds started and we'll keep on rolling. So it's May 3rd. We're gonna transplant our onions today. Hope they like snow. Okay, so I got my probably 800, 900 onions in the ground. Got my drip tape all laid out. I'm gonna hook it up over here and get it on the timer. Hopefully they all do okay. I didn't harden them off like I probably should have, so hopefully the temperature shock isn't too much for them. It's snowing right now, which is not ideal, but we're supposed to start seeing 60s in like a week and a half or so in the daytime, but it's still gonna be in the 30s at night, so hopefully leaving this end of the greenhouse open is alright and they don't get too cold at night. I think they should do okay. This took up about twice the space I expected to. I didn't expect to fill this whole greenhouse with just onions, but it is what it is. We'll see what we get. These have to get in first thing because they take really long time to mature, especially at these colder temperatures. So that's about all for this one. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you again next time.